Good morning, everyone. I'm Fang-Xiong Su. I'm currently the PI of the Consortium on Climate Change Study, this project supported by National Science Council. I will give a brief report up to our welcome speech by our director, PK Wang. Okay. So thank you for our foreign participants fly thousands of miles come to Taiwan to attend this workshop. And this workshop is intended to be more informal and more discussion workshop. Although the time allocated to each talk is not very long, 20 minutes. Okay, but I hope we can have this workshop carry out in a more informal style, okay, and more relaxing and more discussion. Okay, so before we start, may I invite our speaker, Director PK Wang, to say a few words to kick off the workshop.
Thank you, Fang-Xiong, and welcome to RCEC. As I understand, this is the second CCliCS. I don't know, is that how you pronounce it?
Depends on my
I see. But anyway, it's
I usually say CLICS.
clicks. Okay, it's not right click or left click. Okay. Yes, this is a very nice occasion. And in case you don't know me before, I'm Pao Wang. I'm currently the director of Research Center for Environmental Changes here. And it's okay if you don't know me because I'm really very new here. I'm just on this job for 3 months here, and I'm still getting adjusted. In fact, sometimes I'm even wondering why I'm here. But it's wake up in the night. I try to see snow outside. There's no snow. You know. Okay. The person who should get the full credit of organizing this meeting should be Fang-Xiong and his team. And Fang-Xiong now is the major component of our research projects in RCEC. He has been leading this climate modeling group, and it will be one of the most important components here. I would like to especially welcome those who come from long distance, some from other countries, and some of you fly thousands of miles, like Fang-Xiong said. And it is really a very nice occasion that we can all come together and discuss. The climate change and its impact on our society certainly is one of the most important scientific issues facing us today. And from my point of view, it's the most important. And indeed, you can read the newspapers. Every day you see something about this change in the climate and how it impacts our society. And the climate changes every year. And usually around this time, it should be spring. In Taiwan, you got flowers, those azalea flowers come and gone already. But 10 days ago, I just left from Madison, Wisconsin. When I arrived at Taiwan, it was 17 degrees, and people here thought it was cold. But the morning I left, it was minus 17 C in Madison. So immediately I have these 34 degree changes. So there are a lot of changes, and this seems to be a especially cold spring. Sometimes we do see those birds, like robins, those red-chested robins hopping up at this time already. But this year I haven't seen any of those birds. So says a lot about the climate changes. But how to model the changes, or indeed how to model the whole climate system correctly, is of course the main agenda of this meeting here. And with all the smart climate scientists here in this room, I'm sure the next few days, through those discussions, some very fruitful result would be produced. Okay, so let me thank you all again to participate, and I hope we have a successful workshop here. Thank you very much.
It's a time lag. Okay. Thank you, Director Wong. So before we have a photo session and coffee break and a formal talk after that, let me give you a 20 minutes brief introduction of our project. So although most of you already know what we have been doing in Taiwan, but some of the participants are new here and probably the first time to hear about our project. So I'd like to give you a brief introduction. So if this material is too old for some of you, please just fall asleep and do whatever you want. But anyway, I give a brief introduction. Okay. So the reason we are here is because we have this project started about 18 months ago. It's called climate modeling activities. Oh no, sorry about that. It's a project called Consortium for Climate Change Studies. So we call it CCliCS in short. So that's a climate system modeling initiative in Taiwan. And there are a lot of PIs. So it's consortium. So what we're doing is we try to get as many as possible capable people in Taiwan who is working on the modeling or climate modeling. And also we have invited some foreign collaborators from several countries, from United States, even from Norway, and from Japan, and from South Korea. Okay. So actually, this project is one of the 3 National Council Climate Change core projects. And it's the most upstream project for the other 2, sorry about that. And so this project is, the aim of that is the modeling capacity building, especially in climate. And it's a 5-year project. So we still have 3.5 years to go. And the second project is called Taiwan Climate Change Information Platform. The major purpose of that project is to provide Taiwan climate change assessment and projections. It has entered its second phase. Okay. So it has at least another 3 years to go. And this project will provide information to another project called TICAT, Climate Change Adaptation Technology. So this project with mainly working on adaptation and vulnerability assessment. So the purpose of this project, we hope to develop some kind of, we call it Taiwan Climate Change Research Platform. So this project will be serving as a research hub of this platform. So it will do some scientific research and develop a climate modeling and provide climate data set to our research community and also the application community. For example, like the 2 projects I just mentioned, and got a pointer here, okay. And also possibly we can provide data to Central Weather Bureau and also to another center called Taiwan Typhoon Flooding Research Institutes. Okay. So we hope through this, and this platform we can also coordinate or provide useful information and tool to National Science Council research projects, which are working on the climate studies, and also hoping to collaborate with university to train some good people, good students who can work on the climate change research. So this consortium actually consists of 4 projects. The core project is called Laboratory for Climate Change Research, and the sub-project 1 is the development of climate and aerosol permeation. So I will say a little bit about that, and JP is the PI of this project. And the sub-project 2 is development of regional climate modeling system, and the sub-project 3 is working on the detection and attribution of extreme weather systems. Okay. And so the PI of the sub-project 2 is Peyton Lim at National Central University. And the PI for sub-project 3 is Chen Da-Chen at National Taiwan Normal University. He's not here, he's now visiting Berkeley, I think. And so in the following few, about 10 minutes, I'll describe to you about this mainly on the core project and especially focus on the global model. So the aim of the whole project is from, the approach we take is from global to local. So what we're doing is try to implement a community Earth system model suite. So that includes a global Earth system model, a global cloud resolving atmospheric model, and a high resolution regional model. So we have used this to, actually we are not just adapt those model, we will try to refine especially the physical permeation scheme in those models, and hopefully even the ocean models. And we use that to study the relative influence of natural climate variability and the anthropogenic climate change on this high impact of weather and climate, especially on Taiwan. And hopefully we have this capability to do some assessment and projection of climate change impact on the local climate and weather, especially on the extreme cases. And so we will develop these platforms to provide a climate change data set and the modeling capability. So this is the structure of this project, the consortium project. So we have a model implementation and development part. I will describe that a little bit later. And we also use a present model and the model that will be developed in the futures to do the climate change and variation studies. So so we also get some simplified data and analyze the simplified data to provide further information to these other two projects. And also we use CSM because we are adopting the CSM for improvement. We use CSM to do research and climate projections. So in terms of model implementation and development, as I say that we adopt actually at the present time we adopt a CSM as our core Earth system model for global climate and East Asian monsoon studies. And we are now currently trying to evaluate the preliminary scheme and also implement a new scheme. So in many aspects, including convection, boundary layer, land surface, radiation, cloud, etc., and aerosol, and also oceans. And to produce the high resolution data, we are taking some sort of time slicing approach. So this is a joint effort with SJLIN, GFDL, so to develop a stretch grid hierarchy. And we use that for detection and attribution studies and to study the extreme weather characteristic and its change. And especially important, we use that to do some time slicing climate change simulation to provide high-resolution data to application site. Okay. And also, this data will be provided to regional model for further dynamical downscaling using WRF and CRESS. Okay, let me give you some example. When we are using the CSM, so what we are doing is we try to be able to produce more output or more frequent output to support the study in statistical and dynamic downscaling efforts that is badly needed by the application sectors. Okay. So we can only do that in Taiwan for ourselves. It's very difficult to obtain those data. And so we are replacing and improving this physical parameterization. So we will be able to generate an independent set for climate change projection. And for example, what we are doing on the CSM in the physical parameterization part, one example is we are testing this impact of resolution and try to raise its spatial resolution both vertically and horizontally. Yeah. So, and also try to leave the model type to at least 0.1 millibar. Now it's 2 millibar in CSM. And we are also adapting this PBL and convection parameterization scheme from NCEP GFS system and implement that into to the CSM and do testing. And hopefully, the aim is to resolve more synaptic variability. Okay. We think that's very important in terms of have a better assessment or more reliable assessment on extreme weather events. And this is the one of the early examples that for this particular cases, when you use the SAR scheme from the GFS, you can produce a rainfall evolution more closely to the observation, while John McFarlane tend to produce too much rainfall. And hopefully we can try to improve some systematic error in this CSM. For example, WITC problem, that's a very difficult problem, of course. And the Asian monsoon precipitation is good, but still too weak in the CSM. And MJO, there's some MJO signal in the CSM system, but it's still too weak. So hopefully we can enhance that. And also another very difficult problem is diurnal cycle bias, phase bias. This observation from TRIM and this the states of current CSM performance. So the phase is still not accurately resolved in CSM. That, of course, that's another very, very difficult problem. And in terms of aerosol and microphysics part, we are actually, this is the main task supported by JP Chen at National Taiwan University. So we are using he's developing a new set of microphysics and aerosol package. Okay, so that has been, some of them has been tested in the WRF model. And we will hopefully hope to improve the climate cloud radiation and also interaction in the CSM. So for example, JP groups has been working on the cloud parameterization, so that will be a cumulus parameterization scheme considering aerosol effect, and also an expressive scheme that can resolve the moment changes of various cloud hydrometeors. Okay. And also another aerosol parameterization scheme, so that would be involving multi-modal and multi-moment scheme simulating different aerosol types. And then we can put them together so to more accurately simulate the aerosol cloud interactions. And this is one of the early examples, like when we put one of his scheme into the CSM. So this without JP scheme and this with JP scheme. So you can see the ice amount in the with the JP scheme is much larger than without. So it can produce something very different. And also this work by Weiyang Li and Guolan Liao. So they were working on this effect of 3D topography on observed solar radiations. Yeah. So this is one example that if they take into account this 3D effect, then over the whole Tibetan Plateau, it can absorb more solar radiation, more than like 15 watts per meter square. And this work by Ming Hui Rou, and what it's trying to do is try to modify or improvement the some parameters has been using in land models. Okay, for example, if you now the many tunable parameters in the model is set constant everywhere around the world in the model. So, but it's not true in the real world. So this and one example that if you change the soil depth from 1.4 meter to 3.4 meters, so of course you enlarge the seasonal cycle in that particular region. And another people, it's called Yuheng Zheng. He's now actually working in NCAR, and he developed a ocean model called TIMCOM, Taiwan Multi-Scale Community Ocean Model. And he has been trying to see whether his ocean model can be coupled with the CAM5. Okay. So this some simulation from his TIMCOM model. And hopefully, okay, this just take this opportunity to show another ocean bias in CSM. For example, this observed decadal variability in sea surface temperature. Okay, so this is the first rotated EOF, and this is the second EOF. But this is what we got from the CSM. It's first the strongest decadal mode actually focus on this El Nino phenomena. It's not on this something like AMO. Yeah. So this some sort of bias should be corrected. And another thing is we have a joint effort. I may just mention that with HJLIN at GFDL. So this the stretch grid version of HYRON is essentially completed, and now it's doing or has been completed these two simulation. Okay, this one is with the highest resolution over Taiwan and those resolution in South America. So here the spatial resolution can be as high as 10 kilometers. I guess SJLIN and Jiang2 will describe more about the recent result. Okay. And this another one centers in Oklahoma City. And this one simulation result from Oklahoma City simulation. So with this stretch grid model, it can produce somehow quite realistic rainfall distribution in detail. And another example, let's show here is in Taiwan we have this Professor Zhuang developed a 1D mixed layer model, ocean model. He calls SIT, and we couple this SIT to CAM5 and to see the performance of this in simulating MGO. And this is the observation. Okay, so you can see this mostly eastward propagation and wave number 1. And this simulation of original ACAM5 without coupling. So you can see the simulation is not particularly good. The pattern is actually stationary. It does not propagate. Okay, and the frequency is too low. Okay, so once we couple this so-called SIT to the ACAM5 and the simulation we got, you see the frequency of period is essentially correct, and wave number is correct, and the ratio between eastward and westward component is essentially correct. So what you see here is this observation showing eastward propagation, and this model was coupled with a very cheap and a SIT model, and it produced realistic eastward propagation, and period is essentially correct. So is this a magic, or just only occur when you coupling to ACAM5? Would it happen again if we couple this so-called SIM model to CAM? So one of our postdocs is working on this. In the future, if SJ agree, we'll try to couple that to GFDL and see whether that has some improvement. And this person, no Kinesat, actually couple this SIT model to this so-called tropical wolf virgin. Okay, and we also use this sort of a tool to do some model diagnostic study, or to understand some mechanism. For example, the work is being carried out by one of our postdoc. So he's interested in this dynamical impact of these very tiny mountains. Okay, this is real topography, and when you use a 1 degree resolution in CSM, you actually miss this topography. So he managed to put in this. This topography in the CSM and see the difference between the two. And it appeared that with this very tiny but elongated mountain range can reduce the rainfall from all the way from Myanmar to Japan. Okay, where it increases the rainfall over the frequencies. Okay, so this is something we can do when we have this model around. Okay. So I guess that is a very short description of our present model, and there are still so many components I don't have time to describe here, but you will hear some of them in the next 3 days. So thank you for your attention. And what time is it now? Okay, so it's 10 to 10, right? Okay, so I stop right on time. So now is the photo session. So where are we going to have our group photo taken? Here? No, outside?